Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast where we discuss everything your inner nerd loves. This is the Nerds Awaken.
Welcome everybody. On today's episode we are discussing the upcoming Logan movie starring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, which is in fact his last portrayal as Wolverine. We'll be going over the rumored plot of the movie, as well as how that plot fits into what we know from the comics, and we will be speculating on what from the comics will be in the movie. I am Aiden, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Grayson.
What is up, everybody?
So, without further ado, let's kick it off with the rumored plot of the movie.
The movie seems to take place in 2024, and the future does not look bright for the mutants, seeing as the mutant population has been drastically decreasing throughout the years. Even Logan seems to be experiencing some issues with his mutant power, seeing as his healing factor seems to be failing. We see that by the scars he has all over his body. Another mutant who seems to be affected by his mutant powers is Charles Xavier, who has seemingly developed a chronic disorder due to his telepathic powers, which has rendered him demented. One of the new characters we're introduced to is this little girl that we see in the trailers, who has now been confirmed to be X-23, aka Laura Kinney, who in the comics is a clone of Logan. Like Wolverine, X-23 possesses superhuman agility and senses. She also has a healing factor, and she has her own set of adamantium claws, but she has 2 on each hand and 1 claw on each foot. According to the rumors, X-23 seems to be on the run from the facility that created her, which is called Transigen, and from the man behind her creation, who is a man called Xander Rice, who has been rumored to be played by Richard E. Grant. Now, if you know X-23 from the comics, Xander Rice is the man directly responsible for the creation of X-23. Now, Logan finds out that the facility that created Laura is turning mutant children into weapons, and so he takes it upon himself to protect Laura from this facility. As a response to that, Xander deploys the Reavers, who are a group of cybernetic enhanced mercenaries led by a man named Donald Pierce, who is being played by Boyd Holbrook. Now, it turns out that the Reavers were all affiliated with Weapon X in the past, and they were all mutilated by Wolverine, hence the cybernetic enhancements. Another mutant we see in the trailers is Caliban, which is played by Stephen Merchant. We've been introduced to Caliban already in X-Men Apocalypse. He's a mutant whose power consists in being able to sense other mutants' presence. Now, according to what we found out, Logan and Xavier seek out Caliban so he can help them find a safe haven for the mutants. Now, it seems like the general plot for this movie will be Logan, Charles Xavier, and X-23 on the run from the Reavers, trying desperately to reach this safe haven. And this is basically our plot.
Based on the rumors and the trailer and all the information we have so far, we can safely assume that the movie is going to be based on 2 specific storylines in the comics. The first one being Old Man Logan, and the second one being Death of Wolverine. Now, we say Death of Wolverine because we know that this is Hugh Jackman's last movie, and so therefore we can safely assume he's going to die. Really, the only similarities we can come up with when it comes to what we've seen so far in the trailers and Old Man Logan is that he's old. Other than that, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything else similar to that storyline, because the only possibility is he may have a family that gets, killed or something, and this spurs him to, start doing what he used to do and start killing people again. But it really can't include any of the bad guys from Old Man Logan, because all the characters are owned by Marvel, and therefore Fox does not have the rights to put them in that movie. We can safely assume there's not going to be like Hawkeye and, giant Venom symbiote like there was attached to a T-Rex in the Old Man Logan comics, because all those characters are owned by Marvel. So, Death of Wolverine is, if you don't know what happens, basically Wolverine loses his healing factor, causing him to obviously not be able to heal, and causing him not to be able to use his claws because he'll get infections from the claws constantly going in and out and not healing. Without his healing factor, he's vulnerable, and there's someone trying to kill him. Several mercenaries are sent after him, and he tries to get to the bottom of it, and it ends up being Abraham Cornelius. He was the doctor who came up with the original adamantium process that would coat the bones. And he was actually trying to recreate it, and he could not do it with any of the mutants that he was testing it on because none of them had Wolverine's healing factor, which is what kept Wolverine from dying when he had the adamantium put on his bones. So then basically Wolverine's like, I don't have my healing factor anymore, joke's on you. And the guy's like, well, whatever, I'm still gonna do it anyways. And he puts turns the machine on to put the adamantium in the subjects he has captured, and then Wolverine chases the guy off, and then he goes and he cuts open the thing that has all the adamantium in it so that it spills out and actually gets on him instead of onto the people that it was going to. And so he's covered in this liquid hot adamantium, and he chases down this guy, and then he kills the guy, and then he basically falls down, and he's covered in adamantium, and he doesn't have his healing factor, so he can't heal, and so the adamantium becomes solid, and he dies. We think that there are obviously a lot of similarities between this, because for starters, Wolverine's healing factor is, on the fritz, as we can see in the trailer, and so there might be a similar thing where he's either getting older and his healing factor isn't working as well, or he has lost it completely, or he's, taking some sort of serum like he actually did at one point in Death of Wolverine. But we're not exactly sure about that. And then a potential ending for the Logan movie is him going and trying to save all the children that are being experimented on, like X-23 was, and him sacrificing himself to save them, and that would be a similar ending to what happened in Death of Wolverine.
In short, basically, the first thing Hugh Jackman had to say about this movie was Old Man Logan, but really, like we said, the only thing that seems to be similar to the Old Man Logan comic is really that Logan is now an old man. That's pretty much it. Everything else seems to be shaping up to be the Death of Wolverine arc, which I think is the most appropriate, seeing as it's Hugh Jackman's last time portraying Wolverine, it's Sir Patrick Stewart's last time portraying Charles Xavier. It seems like a fit storyline to end these characters' legacies. It does seem like the climax of the movie will be indeed Logan sacrificing himself in order to save all these mutants, and will ultimately die by the end of the movie. Or another thing that could happen is that Charles Xavier is the one who ends up dying, which adds more drama to the story, and the ending of the Logan movie could be something like the ending to the Old Man Logan storyline, in which he rides off into the sunset with Baby Hulk, but in this case, in this movie, he could be just driving off with Laura, just teaching her how to control her powers, teaching her how to be human, basically shaping her up to be the new Wolverine, and sort of passing on the mantle that he's been carrying for the past 16 years.
And also there's a very good chance that they may actually in fact recast Wolverine, so they have someone to be in the movies that we know are coming, which would be before this movie takes place. So for example, we know there's going to be, the next X-Men movie is going to be in the 90s, which is obviously way before the Logan movie takes place. And if Wolverine were to be in that, he would need to be played by someone else, obviously. For one, Hugh Jackman is getting pretty old, and he's also just done playing the role, and he just wouldn't really look young enough. And there also could be some scenario where X-23 ends up, after Wolverine is, taught her everything, she ends up coming back through time somehow and, being part of the X-Men as the new Wolverine.
Who knows? Maybe in the future, Logan and X-23 run into Cable, which could end up tying the Deadpool movies with the X-Men movies and introducing X-23 to the X-Men movies and having her be a part of the new X-Men lineup. I believe that with the end of Wolverine's saga, one of the positive aspects could be that without having to focus on the Wolverine timeline, it will be easier for Bryan Singer to focus on developing the current timeline with the X-Men. After X-Men Apocalypse, and just branching out from there, from the younger X-Men, the younger team members, and just have Bryan Singer, have Fox focus on these X-Men instead of having, Wolverine, Deadpool, all of those other characters to worry about. And maybe after this movie ends, it will be easier for Bryan Singer and Fox to make their timeline a bit less confusing than it is, and maybe utilize this opportunity to focus on other characters like Cyclops, Phoenix, Nightcrawler, and just branch out their universe, instead of always having to depend on Hugh Jackman's Wolverine or Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique to carry the franchise.
That's basically all the information we have right now on the movie, and a lot of this, the majority of this is just speculation, so don't take us for our word. And we just hope this is how the movie turns out, or at least something similar to this, because it would be, very entertaining. And obviously this movie is going to be a lot less about, fighting the bad guys and saving the world, and more about, focusing on the end of someone's career, basically. The end of maybe someone's life.
Okay, so these are basically our thoughts. Like we said, most of this is all rumor and speculation, so take all of this with a grain of salt. Nevertheless, we would like to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think is going to happen in this movie? What do you think is going to happen after this movie? Are you excited for this movie? Just let us know in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and join us next time for our next episode of the Nerds Awaken. I am Grayson, and I was joined by Aiden.
Yeah.
And that is all for today, folks. Thank you very much.